Right, let's set up so we can actually add finally to Firebase or Firestore. And if you go into your code, we're just going to create a click for add items, and then you should send to Firestore, right? So locate your add item button, and inside this one we're going to add a click event. So you can do the V on click up on click like so, or you can do the add click. That doesn't really matter, shorthand notation. I'm doing the add one now. And I'm going to call this add new item, menu item. Let's call it add new menu item. So it's like this, menu item, no S's. And this is going to be the actual method I create down here. Now before I start creating methods, I of course need to import this, import parts of this from Firebase, because we're going to use this one down here, this constant here. We're going to be grabbing that one, and that which is the db all of this to actually set up to the connection to the collection here. So we create the collection if it doesn't exist, and if it does exist, just pushes items into it. Awesome. So let's do the import here, and the import is just with the T, of course, and then we're going to use the curly brackets here because there's no need for us to import all of this. If it imports all of it, then it does this 2 times with Firebase, Firestore, and the configuration 2 times. Not really what we need. We just need to grab this constant that we exported here, which then goes back to all of this. So we're just grabbing the part we want. That's why we use this. So we're going to import this part called menu db menu add, and then this will be from. And I just tested, for some reason I can't use add in this current version. I will just do this, Firebase. Maybe this works for you. And if I click save, I'm going to get an error down here. See? This should go to the root, but it doesn't in my screen. So I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way with a actual static path here. So I am in the admin folder. So go one back, and component go one back, and then go one back, so I can actually grab this Firebase file here. Sweet. Right, so that's the first part of this. Now we need to create a method. So after data, so click here, make sure it ends here, do your separation, and then let's create our methods here. And we do those with a colon and then the object here, and then the name of our method, which is add new menu item, right? We just created this before, so nothing new. In our method here, we're going to take the items we push here, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we click add this item. And I just been through, it's actually the one I had opened before. So Firebase says add and manage data, and there's one called add data. And if you scroll down the page, at one point you'll get to this add a document here. What we want to do is we want to use this add method here to actually put something to it. So db collection, the collection is what we saved in our Firebase, and ours is called menu item instead. And then we want to add. So here we're kind of using the same as push inside what you do when we did it the local way, right? Where we push to the array to actually, that was actually pushing from the menu items to the basket. That's what we did. So this is called add instead. And then it's uses key values. So the key here is the name, and then in this case the country. Ours will be name, description, and price, right? That's what we want to add to Firebase. In their case, it's Tokyo and Japan. If we put in bagel 1, description cheddar, and price 200, for each time we try to push something, it will always be that one. So we need to create a dynamic version. So for whatever we input up here in our text field, will of course change and send the correct thing. So that's why we created the V model as well, because that it's being sent to these fantastic pieces down here. So we can actually just, once they are filled out from the V model, we just grab them inside our method here, and then we pushes or adds them to Firebase. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to use from Firebase this one here, right? Because that's already set up with the Firebase Firestore, and then the collection, and add the collection. Cool. So db.menu, there we go. Now we have the actual function we want to grab, and then we want to do the add, and we do parentheses, and inside the parentheses we're going to do our curly brackets So you can basically just follow what they did here, add parentheses here, ends here, and then we have our curly brackets here and here, right? So similar to what we just created. Now we want to have name. We can just copy this so it's similar to what we have and paste this in. So we're gonna change the ones they have. We still want to keep the name, but we don't want this one. We'll switch this up. The name is actually this one up here. So we're going to use this keyword and then grab the name. So one from up here. That's what we want. So we want to push this in. That's the first one. All right. So instead of country, we have description. So instead of Japan, we have this description. And you can guess the last one will be price and then this price. So basically we are taking whatever is between those two, grabbing it, putting it here, and then setting it equal to this. And then we're going to, once we click the button, we're going to add this to Firebase. So let's click save, go back to our browser, our web shop, and I'm gonna open up I have an extra browser here somewhere, there we go. So this is why I did this, so you can better see what's happening here. So I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller, and I'm going to refresh just to make sure, and I'm gonna do a test bagel, and we want some cheddar to this, and it's gonna be cheap. So this is a introduction price. So once I click add, something should happen over here in a little bit. Let's see. Let's do a refresh because right now it's actually creating the collection. So it might not actually update correctly. It doesn't update at all. Let's go to console. I may have made an error. So element console, and we see reference DB is not defined. Let's go to our code. Oh, actually we don't need to punch in DB here because we already did that here, right? We already have the DB here. So let's go back, save, and let's do a refresh, and let's try again. So open this browser, and let's do the test bagel again, and let's do cheddar and 20. So hopefully now this works. So no errors over here, and I'm just going to refresh this because again it's the first time we do this, and hopefully now we have a collection. So now we have a collection of menu items, and this is the actual ID, so you don't have to assign your own ID. Google Firestore will do this for you. And then we have cheddar, test bagel, and price. So I'm just going to do another one, test bagel 2, cheddar and chili, and this is going to be like so much more expensive, and I'm going to add items, and you can see it instantly pops up here. If I do one more, chilies, test 3, look how fast this goes, bam, it's here. So now we already added 3 items through our little V model here. And in the next one, we're actually going to, instead of using the standard ones, we're going to get the data from online and show those instead of the standard ones we have.